Shares in Quebec-based renewable power generator Innergex soaring today. And of course, the case to date, Poe is buying that company for $13.75 a share. That's a premium of about 60%. Valuing the company, including debt, at about $10 billion. We're joined by Michel Letellier, CEO of Innergex. Thank you very much for coming on, Michel. Interesting. One question that an analyst suggested we ask you: what does this say about investors and their coolness on renewable stocks? They just don't seem to be willing to pay up for them, but you found a buyer in the case.
Well, that's it. That's a little bit sad in the sense that development of renewable energy project takes time, and this is the disconnect between public market and private equity. Is that private equity use discount valuation from the future cash flow versus the net present value, and unfortunately, market often use the multiple of earning or cash flow that are actually very short-sighted in terms of future. So this is why it hurts in some ways, and that's why we're seeing more and more public entity like us that does renewable energy being privatized.
It's been tough. I mean, on the renewable energy stocks in general, I mean, your shares have jumped to more than $13 today. But back in 2021, you were briefly north of $32. Like other renewable stocks, you've come down an awful lot. Why is that? Why have investors gone cold on the renewable power sector?
All kinds of reasons. That it started with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It became, I guess, the focus became on oil and gas more. Very unfortunate at the end of the day. I think that we've seen a lot of investors shying away a little bit on the ESG component. Mm-hmm. That's sad because, I mean, the planet only has one future, and this future has to be decarbonized if we want to have a place to stay in the future for our children and grandchildren. So I'm a little bit sad on that aspect, but I'm happy to have now found a home with La Caisse de Dépôt that share the vision that a good investment in renewable energy is the way to go.
And are you yourself and other senior managers, are you sticking around?
Oh, yes, I'm sticking around. We're putting the biggest portion of our share are going to be transferred in the new entity. And I'm still remain the CEO with all the senior leader of Innergex. And again, our mission hasn't changed, and CDPQ has embraced this mission, which is basically developing renewable energy in order to become a better world in decarbonization of our economy. So we're focused on this, and being partner with long-term partner in First Nation and local community is the way to go, I think, as well.
And can you just remind us what type of power is the biggest in your portfolio? You're pretty diversified geographically and by energy source, but what are you biggest in? Oh, hope we didn't lose Michel there. There's Innergex Renewable jumping today. We'll connect with Michel. Maybe we could put up a quick chart for NPI, Northland Power, and also Boralex, which I believe is BLX. Now, those are renewable energy stocks that we also saw moving up today, but they've been tough to own, these darn things. I was calculating that the TSX Renewable Power and Clean Energy Index is down something like 60% over the past 4 years. In part, investors have become impatient. Also, though, for the industry in general, costs increased, and of course, when interest rates rose, that increased the expense of financing these capital-intensive projects. Oh, Michel is back. I'm sorry about that. Michel, can you hear me? Thanks very much indeed. What do you think? Life will be simpler now in one way, won't it? You won't have to worry about quarterly conference calls and dealing with investors.
Well, I mean, we've been public for a long time, the 2003. So I got accustomed to it. Of course, it's a little bit more complicated to explain quarter by quarter when you're trying to develop a project that takes 6-7 years. So I guess that we're going back to our own roots. CDPQ was a partner with us when we were private. So I guess that it's coming back to the roots. I feel a little bit younger at the end of the day. Very excited about this announcement.
And just before we got cut off, and sorry, we're tight for time, but just remind us, what are the biggest energy sources in your portfolio? Is it wind or hydro?
We started with hydro. We still remain about 35% of our portfolio is hydro. About 45% is wind, and we're growing in solar and battery storage as well.
And just one last question. You have a small part of your portfolio in the U.S. Do you think you'll have to curb your growth plans there with much less even opposition from the White House?
Well, we have great opportunity in Canada, and we still think that on the long run, the U.S. will still be one of the biggest market. Is that we are going to pace ourselves a little bit, be prudent, but put a lot of effort in the early stage so that we will be present when the new policy towards renewable energy will evolve. But states are also very focused on developing renewable energy. So we think that the U.S. will still be a good place to invest.